What defines atypical sexual behavior? Literally, it means behaviors not typically expressed by most people in our society, or behaviors seen as bizarre or strange that ignite sexual arousal. Recently, the less judgmental term paraphilia has been introduced to describe atypical sexual behavior, which literally means beyond usual or typical love. Atypical sexual behavior comes in multiple forms, including fetishes, transvestic fetishism, sexual sadism and masochism, autoerotic asphyxia, coprophilia and urophilia, and exhibitionism, including many more. Fetishes are one of the most common types of atypical sexual behavior. But what constitutes something as a fetish? It is common for people to be aroused by lingerie or by breasts, but it is when a person becomes exclusively focused on an object or body part that it becomes a fetish. For some people, a fetish object is necessary to achieve orgasm or any sexual arousal, while for others it can serve as a substitute for human contact completely. Some of the most popular fetishes include shoes, particularly high heels or boots, feet, hair, women's lingerie, and leather objects are especially popular, particularly corsets, whips, boots, and coats. How does a person develop a fetish? Often it comes from long-term fantasizing about an object until the object becomes necessary. Fetishism also often develops from childhood if a child associates arousal from the object that belongs to someone of emotional significance. What is transvestic fetishism? Transvestic fetishism is when a non-transsexual person cross-dresses to achieve sexual arousal. A significant difference between fetishism, where an object such as lingerie is necessary for arousal, and transvestic fetishism is that the article of clothing such as underwear or stockings must be worn. Studies show that males are largely the most common to participate in transvestic fetishism. However, women take part in the behavior as well. It can develop similarly to other fetishes, from childhood occurrences of dressing up in clothing of someone significant to the person. Sexual sadism and sexual masochism, or more popularly known as S&M behavior, is the association of pain with sexual expression. Sexual sadism is achieving arousal by giving physical or psychological pain, while the term sexual masochism belongs to those receiving pain for arousal. There are many different forms of S&M behavior, including being whipped, cut, pierced, bound, or spanked. The amount of pain a person needs to feel to achieve arousal varies by person and can range from only symbolic pain to severe beatings in rare cases. A popular form of S&M is bondage, where a person is tied up or restrained and receives discipline from a partner in the form of spanking or whipping. All S&M behaviors are performed between trusting partners who understand limits and seek to achieve sexual arousal together. S&M is largely seen in a negative way. However, studies show that S&M is overall practiced by willing partners who desire to feel dominated or submissive, rather than pain. Studies also show that bondage is a fairly common sexual behavior. There are many theories as to why people practice S&M behavior, such as it aids as an escape from the boring reality of everyday life, as well as satisfies some ingrained animal instincts. Of course, there are also theories associated with childhood, and the possibility of being punished as a child for participating in sexual acts could permanently associate sex and pain into adulthood. One of two less common forms of atypical sexual behavior I will discuss is autoerotic asphyxia, which is the act of suffocating oneself during sexual arousal. Autoerotic asphyxia is uncommon and extremely dangerous and life-threatening. It is commonly performed by use of a rope or a noose, and studies show it is most prominent among white males. It is possible that autoerotic asphyxia is responsible for up to 1,000 deaths in the U.S. every year. The other less common form of sexual behavior is known as coprophilia and urophilia. Coprophilia is the act of being defecated on, watching someone defecate, or defecating on someone to become sexually aroused. Urophilia, or better known as a golden shower, is the act of peeing on someone, being peed on, or watching someone pee to become sexually excited. Just like autoerotic asphyxia, it is very rare and unknown in origin. Our last example of atypical sexual behavior is exhibitionism, also known as indecent exposure. Exhibitionism is different from our previous examples as it is a coercive paraphilia, meaning one or more participant is unwilling. Exhibitionism is most common among men and is the act of showing one's genitals to someone involuntarily and then masturbating or trying to achieve orgasm after. According to research, it is possible this behavior develops from growing up with a feeling of shame towards sex, making the option of flashing an unwilling person and running away more appealing. Overall, these are only a few examples in atypical sexual behavior, or paraphilia. However, I hope learning more about these behaviors helps change thoughts on these behaviors from strange or deviant to an untypical type of love.